So I discovered wrestling when I was around the age of 5. Yeah, I was just like really hooked from watching that. But then I was watching women's wrestling later on that really got me to fall in love with pro wrestling even more. My name is Leilani Tominiko. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand, originally born in Samoa. I am 24 years old and I'm a professional wrestler under the name Candy Lee. When I was young, I looked up to like really feminine things. Like I love Disney princesses, I love Victoria's Secret models. The women in wrestling just added to that. Going to an all-boys school was really hard because like the boys would always pick on me and just automatically assume that I was like a fafa or like a trans and would just mock me regardless, even though I didn't identify as a trans woman. I felt like every time I watched wrestling, it was like it took me out of this world. So it was kind of like a coping mechanism. And yeah, it was just like my happy place. Before like I started transitioning, like obviously I didn't look the way I look now. In public, I would just walk around and people would just yell derogatory terms at me and call me like a faggot. I did go through a denial stage because I think it was just the fear of getting picked on for being different. I didn't really find out about like ways of transitioning or like about transgender people until like I was around 16, 17. And that's around the time where I started like getting on hormones and starting treatment and transitioning into the girl that I always know I was meant to be. I didn't really tell my parents I was trans because they wouldn't understand because my parents are really traditional Samoans, but my parents are supportive of who I am. I like have really bad anxiety and I've actually seen like a therapist and stuff about it. I feel like the root of it is around being transgender. What drives a lot of my anxiety about being trans is if like I look feminine enough. I think what made it better for me was actually meeting other trans people around the same age as me or like older. Meeting them really helped me feel more comfortable with myself. Yeah, I like who I am. I'm proud of who I am. It makes me stand out, makes me different. And what I love about wrestling as well, it's like an art form where you can like express yourself. Having a character, good or bad, you get to really step out of who you are normally, and it's just you're kind of like in a different world. You're this whole different persona for just like that couple of minutes. It's fun, like it's a thrill, it's a rush. I feel like Candy Lee's more like toned down than who I am as Leilani. Because I feel like when I'm with my friends and like stuff, I'm like really extra. Like Candy Lee's extra, but then I'm way more extra. My biggest dream would be to make it in the WWE. And I just want to give back to my parents. They gave me life and they brought us to New Zealand because they wanted us to get a better education and stuff.
Here's the Candy Crush by Candy Lee.
I guess for advice for like a young trans person would be to trust the process and to not rush your transition. You'll get there, you just need to like trust whatever your doctor says. Sometimes their parents might not be accepting. Trust that that's like a process as well, that I feel eventually most parents will come around, and if not, you kind of just have to Find people in your life that you can trust, like having good supportive friends or other family members that might be able to be supportive and stuff. The way I see it, it takes someone really brave and really strong to transition from whatever gender they were given at birth to the gender they feel like they're meant to be. You're basically kind of opening up for ignorance and discrimination from society because it's not seen as a society norm. I feel like transgender people are really strong for being courageous enough to be who they are.